We're extending the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's 2-to-1 funding match with Rotary to help raise $150 million a year to protect children from polio. Together, we can make history. Together, we will end polio.
I contracted polio when I was 15 months old in Lagos, Nigeria. Polio is a horrible, terrible disease, and what it does is it causes paralysis. It's hard to put into words what Rotary have done for this campaign. It's absolutely astounding. I don't think enough people know just how much money Rotary has put in, billions, since they began the Rotary campaign 30 years ago, and just how much work the Rotary members have put into raise awareness and to help vaccinate children all over the world. I think they're owed a massive thank you for what they've done, and I'll be there as an ambassador with Rotary all the way until the end.
I do actually remember when the news came through that India was polio free, and it felt like such an amazing milestone just because I'd been there and I'd done some work out there with Rotary. Imagine if that extended to the whole world being polio free. That would just be such an amazing achievement.
Wherever I go in doing my work, the Rotarians have been there before me. It is a very humbling thing to discover just exactly what putting service before yourself adds up to when you see it in practice on the field. When polio is finally eradicated, and you know it will be soon, you stand surely in the first chapter of that book. I admire the Rotary Club's interventions so much. They're well thought out and enacted. And so I thought nowhere better than right on the field to send you my very best and really offer thanks and gratitude to what you're all doing. From Bono in Accra, thanks again.
Polio has preyed on humanity for thousands of years, moving around the world from person to person in an unbroken chain of infection. In the early 1950s, there was a particularly intense outbreak in the United States that crippled nearly 60,000 people.
It was really frightening because there was no vaccine and you never knew who was going to get polio. Everybody knew somebody who had the disease.
And in the parks, precautions are taken to prevent gatherings of youngsters.
Parents wouldn't let their children go swimming. Movie theaters were closed. People were kept inside.
In 1954, at the height of the epidemic, Dr. Jonas Salk tested an injectable vaccine, which offered a first ray of hope. Approximately 5 years later, Dr. Albert Sabin developed an oral vaccine that was less expensive and easier to use. Humanity finally seemed to be gaining the upper hand. By 1979, 61 countries had used the two vaccines to eradicate polio.
We come to this hour grateful for the achievements of the past.
The drive for global eradication came from a most unlikely source. Rotary International.
Smallpox had been eradicated just 1 year before, so we decided to take on polio.
It seemed like an impossible dream.
When we first approached the World Health Organization about working with us to eradicate polio, they felt that we were amateurs, we didn't know what we were talking about, that we really didn't have anything to bring to the table.
So Rotary went it alone, supplying volunteers and vaccines for mass immunization programs around the world.
In 1979, we did a huge vaccination program in Philippines, 6 million children, and we found it worked.
And Rotary raised money for further campaigns.
They've exceeded that goal and raised $119,186 million. We're over goal!
Now, the World Health Organization took notice.